So if we could return to looking ahead, you know, so I think we all recognize there's a big problem here, you know, and what can the CEDAW groups do to strengthen their alliance and meet this moment? We've had a lot of ideas thrown out. So any thoughts about what the next step is?
I'll raise my hand.
Okay. Yes, Gail.
I'll just say we've heard from 3 of our leaders who have led the CEDAW movement in their areas: Kansas City, Alice, and Broward County, Florida, Eileen, and Jan Stroud in Montana. And so we hear from the ground, and they all say this very similar things: is that we need to adapt and build our coalition, build out our coalitions, as you've heard before. I think Eileen has a really good idea about the ALEC model, which she has just put in the chat to remind us, and some information from the Brookings Institute, which would be to do more work, you know. And so that's why I would say we need our eyes, spine, and hands. We need more vision of where we want to go and focus. We need to keep our backbone strong, and we need to hands-on. We need to do more work, maybe on the model of the U.S. Women's Caucus. You have your wonderful white papers and your briefing reports, which are so excellent and take a lot of research, and you would trust people to do this research. I think is a valuable asset to what you've tried to accomplish, Susan, with the U.S. Women's Caucus. So I think we need to do more. We can do more work. I think there's another suggestion in the chat. Alice mentioned a little bit more about some agreements we might reach before we leave today. Alice, do you want to comment a bit further on that? Muted.
I'm thinking that we have so many different directions and possibilities, and we can't do them all. And the purpose of our meeting isn't to do all of those things everywhere in the world, but it is to come up with a standardized agreement that everybody can sign on to, how we participate with each other. Keep it narrow, and, you know, we're not going to be controlling every organization and every...
Right.
We just need to have something that we can agree to, and that is how we count and what we count, and how we agree to, well, things like don't criticize each other, or, you know, some value statement about how we can support each other, but not undermine each other. And when we're overlapping, which we don't have time to overlap,
Really?
but we, you know, let those with expertise lead, and we follow solidarity, count, you know, what these values are, and keep them small, very narrow, so that everybody can sign on to them. But it has to be a statement of values and agreement with some specifics in it, and then how we count and what we count.
Good.
Thank you, Alice. Elahi?
Yeah, as everybody mentioned, this is, and particularly Gail, this is the first of a series of conversation we're gonna have. So this, the issues that came up in this and Alice's suggestion definitely give us some idea about how to organize the next conversation and talk to each other, because and have dialogue on various issues, and focusing on what we all shared in this movement. I want to just mention my favorite African proverb. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I think here on issue of CEDAW, we need to go far. So we need to stay together. We need to work in solidarity, and came out of our silo. The movement is not about each one of us. It's about how we can impact the life of women and girls. Thank you.
Thank you, Elahi. And Eileen, please go ahead.
Very quickly, amen to all of the above. Timeliness has everything to do with it. When we got our 31 city ordinance passed for CEDAW, we were in such a hurry when they put up the billboards on the I-95 route, with Time's Up, Me Too, do you want to sue your employer? The timing was everything. We were in such a hurry to present something. We actually used the San Francisco flyer with the Golden Gate Bridge on it.
Oh,
People
yeah,
didn't even notice. We took the
Right.
same flyer and we added Time's Up, Me Too, we're meeting here, and everybody came. So your allies are on the 6 o'clock news. And with the ALEC, we took Tampa's resolution, turned it into an ordinance. I don't know that they have an ordinance yet, but we ended up with 31 cities and 6 villages covered with our CEDAW ordinance. So again, sometimes being in the right place at the right time and working smarter and having those cut and paste things ready help a lot for a group that's just now getting its wings.
yeah, yeah, good.
Just, I know that we're running short on time here, and Elahi and Gail have talked about subsequent meetings to continue this conversation. So, Elahi, I assume that we're going to have minutes coming out of this meeting, and perhaps that could include a list of the various suggestions that people have made. We've also had some definite suggestions and commitments. So Mary Rose has talked about developing a webinar, and she would like someone to work with her on that. So that would be a concrete project that someone could be working on. Also, Alice has talked about these standard data set and a value statement. And I'm wondering if maybe 1 or 2 people could pick that up and work on that for the next meeting, just to kind of draft things and push the ideas forward. And then there have been, multiple other ideas that have been proposed too. The ALEC approach, I'm not familiar with that, but that would be something that people could look at for the next meeting too, and think about that. And then I see there are a few people that we haven't heard from. And Catherine, I wonder if you would like a moment just to engage with some of what we talked about. Do you have some feedback?
Sorry, I'm just getting my my
Right,
back on.
I figured.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that I think we have to think about carefully too is, and maybe this is from my experience as a civil rights attorney, and some of the things I faced, and I know other people have faced too, is I think the collaboration is exceedingly important, but at the same time, to know who's around you, because we're in those kind of times. We're going back to those kind of times again, where there will be people who will join our efforts really to try to undo them, and to be very aware of that as well. I don't think we can be really Pollyannish about everything. We know where that gets us. Some of us who are older, who've had or who remember what some of our families went through, or whatever else. And I've, where I am in New York, I'm on Long Island, and being a civil rights attorney prior to this current administration, and I don't mean to be dramatic, but I'm sure we've all experienced this on some level. Like, death threats is nothing new to me. I don't get afraid. It is that sort of stuff, and living in a place where and that sort of stuff has increased out here in terms of how red part of the government has. Part of the people have turned here, being particularly in some of the white working class areas where there's the clash between basically white working class people who are no longer able to afford to live in the areas where they've had generations growing up, and feeling this sort of this combative nature. And what I've done and this doesn't mean anything, but I'm running for city council from my local city, in terms of trying to work on the local level in that terms, and really where that came through was through being with WIN for so long, and with all of you wonderful women who, I think that changing on the local level is so important. And I think that's why there's going to be a lot more fight and opposition on the local level, because it's hard to change things on the federal level if you don't have people galvanized underneath. And I'm anticipating that we are going to get a lot more pushback. And I think we have to be realistic about that too. I mean, I'm not talking about becoming a conspiracy theorist or being paranoid all the time, but just being more aware of who's around us. And that's kind of my 2 cents on this.
Great, Catherine, and very important emphasis on the local level and the difference. So the battle, in many ways, is going to be on the local level, and so that's where Cities for CEDAW is, and so that really reinforces the importance of what you're doing. And Jay, I know you haven't spoken too much. Would you like to say something before we end today?
Yes, I'm here. I've been listening to all of you women. Can you hear me okay? My reception is not very good.
Yes,
You can hear me.
we can hear you.
I'm in agreement with all of you and really want to piggyback on Alice's point that we do need to start with maybe some kind of statement so that we can really show a unification of all the different cities and all involved in movement. And I think Al had said something earlier about now we really need to take this to another level, right? Because we're doing so much, my little kid here, we're doing so much individually in our local regions, but really to show that we are part of a greater movement. And we talked about maybe getting a new logo, which I think is great. I know a great artist. He's an award-winning logo designer based out of Canada, and I'd like to get him in touch with us too. But yeah, I think it's important that we get a statement, and it doesn't have to be something big, but I think that's what our subsequent meetings are going to be for, to get everyone who has their boots on the ground in so many different regions together so that maybe we can come up with ABC. What do we stand for? Where are we going?
Yeah.
And maybe like an entire rebranding of Cities for CEDAW, because I think, I'm kind of like an outsider just joining, right? It seems to me like kind of like a rebranding might be very beneficial to this entire movement.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. And Elahi and Gail, would you like to say some closing statements and then we'll conclude for today?
Gail, you want to?
I will just say thank you to everyone. I think this is the beginning of a conversation we absolutely must have, and I'm so glad you're willing to be here today. A number of people couldn't make it, but they will be with us next time. We'll have a series. Would you agree if we did it? I think quarterly is too random, and if we could do it monthly, whoever could come will come, and so that over the summer we could work on various of these notions and concepts and plans, and by the fall have something more concrete, perhaps. Elahe, you might want to elaborate. We had thought about a national coming together of all of us for a National Women's Equality Month event in August. I don't know if that's doable. But thank you everyone for joining us. It's so rich and encouraging to hear your voices and your accomplishments already. And we have a very big task in front of us, but I feel wonderful to work with you.
Yeah, I want to echo what Gail said. Thank you, everyone. Thank Sun Young that on her last day of getting ready for her trip, send us the video, give us some idea. I want to emphasize Alice's suggestion. We're gonna go through. This was recorded. Thanks to Lauren. Lauren, thank you very much for always being there for us and helping us with the tech support. Thank you very much, and thanks Susan for moderating this session.
Sure.
And appreciate that, and we had excellent conversation, and we're gonna listen to this. I will share the link with all of you and those who were not here, and then we're gonna capture what's important for our next conversation. Hopefully we can have a couple conversation, and I'm hopeful this is a big dream, but all involved in CEDAW movement we come together for Women Equality Day, you know, a conversation, a gathering online for Women Equality Day, because CEDAW is about equality, and it's good to reframe it, reshape it, as many of you, as Jay also shared. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Susan.
you,
very
Lottie.
much.
Very nice
Thank
to
you.
meet
Thank
you all.
you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
very
you. Enjoy
Onward.
the holiday weekend.
Onward.
Same
Thank
to
you.
everyone. Very good. Very good.
Bye.
Thank you.